Welcome to Money, Manifestation, and Business, the podcast that shows you how to use your energy, intention, and consciousness to reprogram your money mindset, unleash a new level of possibility, and create a life and business that lights you up. I'm your host, Jamie Berman, and I invite you to join me each week for a dose of inspiration, coaching, and teachings to help you rewrite your money story, create abundance on your terms, and grow your business in a way that's fully aligned for you. This is going to be so much fun. Let's dive in. All right, I have an inspiring interview for you today. I have the amazing Nicky Bevan here with me, and this interview, I would say, has been a long time coming, but it hasn't been that long. It's been something that the both of us have been manifesting for, I would say, a couple of months now, or maybe like 6 months, 9 months, something like that.
At least.
We had a vision of Nicky being on the podcast, but she wanted to wait until she reached her impossible goal to do it. And she said, once I reach my impossible goal, I am coming on. So I'm so excited for you all to hear Nicky's super inspiring journey of shifting her relationship with money completely, opening up to receiving, creating the impossible, and just for you to have the magic of Nicky Bevan, because she's an amazing human. So Nicky, welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. We are doing it.
Oh my gosh, there's going to be tears, isn't there? Hearing you say that, I'm already getting emotional. So yes. Let's bring in the emotions. Isn't it incredible though? So this is the second thing now that you and I have manifested, because right back when we were in Texas around lunch and you said, I'm gonna go manifest a retreat. And then I was like, I'm going to manifest going on Jamie's retreat. And then we did that. And so now we're doing the podcast. So you and I are good manifestors together.
I love it. Let's do more of it.
We should. 100%.
It's always fun to manifest together. 100%.
It is.
So Nicky, tell us a little bit about you before we dive into your story. If you could share about what you do as a coach and entrepreneur.
Yes. Love to. So thank you so much for having me. I am beyond delighted to be here. So I'm Nicky Bevan. I class myself as the loving, no bullshit life coach for working mums who love their job. She fiercely loves her children, but she isn't enjoying either because of this constant hamster wheel she feels she's on of overwhelm, mum guilt, rushing from one thing to the next, feeling exhausted, and then beating herself up for snapping at her kids. And recently, I've also pivoted into working with teams and small businesses that working mum is actually a part of, and helping them build their emotional resilience and emotional maturity as a team. So I feel like regardless of who I'm working with, it is really around that emotional strength, emotional resilience, emotional maturity, and really making a very conscious, deliberate choice about how we want to live our life. Not that should be positive, but it should be deliberate and appropriate. And not many people realize they have that choice. So yes.
Ooh, what's the difference between positive and deliberate?
Brilliant question. So for me, there are times, like I think if you're experiencing a bereavement, for example, it's not necessarily an appropriate time to feel happy, joyous, and positive. If you've just dreamed of a job and you didn't get it, it's not appropriate to feel happy, joyous, and positive. So it's about giving yourself permission to deliberately grieve, to deliberately feel disappointed, giving yourself space to experience that emotion, and then move on with the lessons from it. So it's more about allowing yourself to fully experience emotions rather than avoid them, distract from them, and all the things that we generally tend to do. So it's not always appropriate to be and like we talk a lot in the community, your community, don't we, about being courageous and committed, and they're not always necessarily positive feeling emotions, but they move us forward. So that's what I mean by deliberate.
I love that 100%. And you talked about emotional resilience. Is that how you would describe that?
Yes. So emotional resilience for me is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. It's feeling the guilt and allowing yourself to cry. It's feeling the nerves of standing up in front of a group of people and doing it anyway, not making your negative emotions a problem.
Oh, so good. And I feel like that's going to be infused when we talk about your journey of creating your business and of growing your business and manifesting money with more ease. I feel like that's probably a big part of that journey for any entrepreneur, is building up emotional resilience, right?
Yes, it's a huge part of it, Jamie. I'm sure we'll touch on it at some point, but the emotions that you go through, especially if you've been used to being in employment, if you've never been self-employed before, it is an emotional roller coaster. And learning how to be okay with the downs as well as the highs is vital. So I think one of the most incredible gifts that being part of your community has given me in the money manifestation movement and your mastermind, I really feel like I've got such a solid, grounded foundation now of which my business can just grow beyond on, there's no, and I feel like I've got such a solid, grounded base that I could go higher than the skyscrapers. So, and it's because I've been through self-doubt, shame, fear. And I can remember you coaching me one time so deeply, my brain was empty, but like that I can remember you saying to me, Nicky, what's happening? I went, there's literally nothing left. I think we had gone that deep, and you have to strip all that away in order to grow so strongly from that point, I think.
Yes. I'm so excited to dive into that journey of yours. And I've witnessed, oh my gosh, you have stepped into so much courage. You've had so much growth. That's why I was so excited and inspired to have you on the podcast, because you're such an example of what's possible. And the willingness that you had to really dive deep and go within and look at everything has been, like I said, absolutely inspiring. So I'm wondering, could you take the listeners back to where you were when you started this journey, or like right before you started it? What was it that, first of all, made you want to get into this work of manifesting money and the work that I do of having an aligned business? And what was maybe your programming before that made you want to dive into this work?
Good question. So I always felt like I've always enjoyed working. I've always loved making money. Like in the sense, I loved earning money. I think there's a difference. And I was babysitting at like the age of 13. I was washing up in a pub. Like as soon as I could work, I worked, and I loved working. I've always loved working. But I could work. Like I can remember getting up to start a shift in an airport at 4:30 in the morning, and then I would go from one job to the other, to the other, to the other. Yep. And then my mum would end up picking me up at midnight because I would have finished my pub job, and she was so scared that I was too tired to drive home. So I could work. Like,
yeah, we have that in common.
Yes, hours.
same.
Yes,
I know.
Hours aren't a problem. And then, when I went into like more corporate office work, if I just wanted more I would just do more overtime. Like if I wanted more money, I'd do more overtime. And then, but I always felt like I had more to give. I always felt like whilst I loved what I was doing, I had more to give. And the company that I was working for at the time, two of the directors had come back from a Tony Robbins retreat, totally buzzing with energy, as you can imagine. They're like, right, we want to bring this energy into the business. Nicky, we think you're the person to coordinate this week of energy. And it was brilliant. But as that week went on, I got more and more frustrated. And I can remember a memory when I was 15. I'm not academic. I did not get good grades at school. I would be diagnosed dyslexia if I was in education now, 100%. And I can remember saying to the careers advisor, I want to help people find their way. Like, I don't want to tell them they've got to turn left or right. I want to help them find their way. And I can remember the careers advisor kind of screwed her face up at me and went, go and do hairdressing. And I did. I went and do hairdressing and beauty therapy. But I always felt I had more. And this week I just got more and more frustrated. And I said to this woman, she called it a listening post. I said, I feel like I've got this energy in my hands and my arms, and I need to give it out to the world, and I don't know what it is, but it scares me. And she said, what, have you heard of life coaching? Never heard of life coaching. So, well, that's what I do. I just help people find their way. So I came out of that, Googled life coaching, found the Life Coach School podcast, went home that night, and I said to my husband, Johnny, I'm going to be a life coach. And he was like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? I said, no, I'm going to be a life coach. This is my thing. And from that point on, I just knew I had found what I was just supposed to do in my life. And so it was a journey then of, first of all, he was really my first client, very unconsensually. He's now a life coach. And it was just then this journey of going, right, how am I going to make this happen? I didn't know about manifesting at the time, but we were in the middle of redeveloping our house. And he's like, please don't tell me you're trying to get made redundant. It sounds like you're trying to get made redundant, and we can't afford that. We need you to be working. And well, that's exactly what I was doing looking back. And it worked. Like, I realized looking back at my life, I always wanted 2 boys, Jamie, as children, and I got 2 boys. That's a choice you do not get to make. Right. You know? And my house as it is now, I totally visualized that at a point when my husband couldn't. I could see myself sat on my sofa looking out my window and the space, and we've got that now. And so when I started, and I used to love your energy way back when you were doing your the weight loss coaching. I can't say the
PCOS coaching. Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, she's just brilliant. I loved you so much. And then, so when you started talking about manifestation, I was like, oh, I think that's what I've been doing like my whole life, just not even realizing. And so that then was like, I kind of like that as an idea, as a business model, that you just manifest what you want. I wish I could say that then it was that easy. Because it was not to begin with at all. And I was trying to remember when I actually joined the movement. So it must have been September. If we were in Texas together, it must have been that summer that I joined the manifestation movement.
Yes, I think so. Probably a year and a half ago.
Yes. Yeah, it must be.
Yep.
And the resistance that part of me had to just being able to let go was huge. Even though I could see evidence of what I've created, just like we hear over and over again, I don't know how I can apply that to money. I don't know how I can apply that to my business. And I was exactly the same. I just couldn't imagine ever actually earning. So my goal for a while has been to create 6K profit months. And it just felt impossible. And I never even felt like I got close. I had 1 month once about 2 years ago where I earned about 4,000, and I just never got close to it since. I'm like, this is never going to happen for me. I must somehow be different. And then 4 very significant things happened, followed by 2 decisions. Do you want me to go into that story?
Absolutely. Okay. Let's hear it. What shifted?
Yeah. So, and I really do feel like this has only really been in the last sort of now 6 months where I've had this really significant shift.
We all watched this happen, right? Yeah. It's like what I feel is the first year of this work, I would say ish, you were really doing deep foundational work. Mm-hmm. I don't think you could have gotten to where you got at this, 6 months ago, had you not done that foundational work that felt, I'm sure, very hard.
Absolutely. Yeah. And looking back, I can see that. at the time, I think what makes it so hard is that you're going through all these really shit emotions, and you've got self-doubt, and you've got shame, and you've got fear, and you've got nothing to show for it. And I think that's when the courage kicks in. And I always had this belief, although I didn't know it was a belief. I just thought it was a fact that I'm not stopping. I am not stopping. I've got something to give the world. I am not stopping. And so that kept me going and thankfully kept me going. But four really significant things happened. So the first one was my friend Lulu, who has also been a client. She's very spiritual and she's very religious and incredibly successful. And I said to her one day, okay, Lulu, what do you see about me then? And she just said, well, I'm going to cry. She said, Nicky, you really confuse me, because you clearly have so much love inside you to give the world. It's so obvious that you are full of love. And she said, but what confuses me is that I don't think you realize how loved you are by the universe. And I don't think you allow yourself to receive it at all. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're so true. So true. And she said, normally people receive love but don't give it. But you're full of it. You're not receiving 100%. It. And then you had said to Erin in one of our coaching calls, do you have a relationship with God? Or what's your relationship with God? And it just, you weren't even talking to me, but it just got me thinking, well, what even is God? Like, what's God? I've never been religious. I still don't really class myself as religious, but I just started to think about, well, what is the universe for me? And the universe for me is this huge higher energy that we all belong to, that we are all part of, that is created from love, for love, by love. There's no beginning, middle, or end, and it's all around us. And we all have access to it. And I was like, well, maybe that's God. So I was kind of playing with that.
Yeah.
And then my friend Lulu said to me, well, I sing in church. Why don't you just come along to my church? Just see what you think. So I thought, okay, well, she's singing, so that'd be nice. And oh my gosh, Jamie, it was the most, I've done some uncomfortable things, but walking into that room that day, I was petrified. I was absolutely petrified. It wasn't even a church building. It was a community hall. And I was so uncomfortable. And my friend Lulu came running over, gave me a big hug. She said, oh, come and sit by my mum. I'm going to go up and start the worship. And their worship is 45 minutes of song and singing. And she started singing. She had the most beautiful voice, for one. And I sat there listening to the words and listening to the music and opening myself up. And I just sat and sobbed, because I suddenly realized that this has got nothing to do with me. Absolutely nothing to do with me. This is all part of such a higher plan that I know nothing about, that I am not in control of. And it was the most incredible moment, incredible release of surrender. And I just felt so loved, so guided, so supported. It was amazing. It was just incredible. And so that was, and it's all the words that you've ever said to us, you know? And so I came out of that and I was like, well, that was powerful.
I remember actually right after that, we were like, what happened, Nicky? Like, we could see a shift in your the whole mastermind. Everybody was like, wow, Nick, like, we noticed something. I'm curious, what do you think you were so scared of walking in? Why were you petrified?
I think it's growing up, my parents weren't religious. But I had to go to church on Christmas Day, and it was heavy. It was cold emotionally and physically. It was very like heavy. It was just, and I think I was just scared of judgment. I think I was scared of, and it was completely the opposite. it was complete
Judgment from others or judgment of yourself?
both.
Or judgment from
I
God?
think both. All of that.
Okay. Yeah.
All of it. And I think there was a part of me that was scared about releasing control.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was almost like it can't be that simple. Really,
It's like your subconscious was tightly holding on, like, I know what's gonna happen if we walk in here.
I know, like, can it? And so it was amazing. And then I think it was the weekend after that I was then with you in San Diego at the retreat, the second retreat.
Yeah.
And that's when I had my other shift. Was one, the healing that we did over that weekend was so beautiful. But also I had this absolute realization that, hang on a minute, I can remember telling you, I'm looking at abundance like you would look at a view, and specifically the ocean. And I'm looking at this beautiful view going, oh, look at abundance over there. Isn't it lovely? Isn't it beautiful over there? And I was never actually getting in it. I was never getting in the water. I was never allowing myself to submerge myself in abundance and fully allow it to be all around me and in me and on me and just like envelope me. I was never letting myself do that ever. And so that was then the fourth. That was like the fourth thing then that happened. Like those four things, I just think from that point on, I was like, this is inevitable.
Well, can I ask you real quick? Because I think so many people are like that. And sometimes that's where I love to teach future self work of like getting to know your future self, right? And then starting to embody that. But I think sometimes unintentionally that gets interpreted as always looking at your future self as separate from you. And it's so similar of like looking at that abundant, wealthy version of you in the future and not really letting yourself to truly vibrationally align with that now and step into that now. And so many people say, well, I can't because I don't have the physical evidence. I don't have the money to be that person. So I would love to hear from you how you saw that shift and allowed that shift to happen where you weren't looking outside at the ocean. You're like, oh, wait, I just have to literally step into this ocean of abundance. Like it's available now.
Yes.
Can you walk us through, was there a mindset shift there? Was that a visualization? Like how did you let yourself step into abundance now?
Yeah. For me, it's a form of meditation, I would say. It's a form of, I don't know that I visualize a lot, but I think when it comes to abundance, I can fill myself up with abundance with having nothing. So for me, it's a practice. It's a practice of actually letting yourself hold that success, hold that abundance, hold that gratitude, hold that love, and give yourself the space and the capacity to feel it. I don't think I was ever letting myself do that. I wasn't ever letting myself do that. Because I didn't have the evidence. I was just making it up. How could I possibly feel abundant when the money's not in the bank account? But that's just all rubbish. Like, because I am so full of love. That's abundance.
Yeah. Totally.
Gratitude is a choice. It's a practice. You can create those emotions right now because we've got that amazing skill as humans. So that to me it wasn't really a visualization. It's more of a practice in feeling.
Yeah. And did you infuse that into your business and with money as well?
Yeah. So what I then started doing is I would love to say I do it every day. It's not quite every day, but it's definitely more days than it's not. I now will sit down, I'll close my eyes, I take it is a meditation practice, isn't it? And I allow myself to connect to source. So for me, that looks like this really warm, beautiful golden light that just kind of beams down onto my head. And it soaks down through my body. And then I can even feel the vibrations in my palms now. And these beautiful, wispy, kind of golden yellow ribbons go out into the universe. And off they just float. And I'm just like, That's my visualization. And I imagine myself in front of thousands of people, on stage in front of thousands of people. I imagine myself in workshops, which is now happening. And I imagine 6K profit. That is just so normal. So normal. And then the most random shit happens. And I'm like,
exactly.
One of the weirdest things was a couple of years ago, this person was talking to me about this really amazing local business owner that had started her own business. I was like, oh, I would love to coach her. I would love to coach her. And I never said anything to anybody. And then in January, I had an email from someone I just met saying, I really want to introduce you to my friend. I really think that she would love to learn about your coaching. And it was this woman. I'm like, what is happening? Like, what? Like, just random shit happens. Yeah. Well, it feels like it feels random, but I know it's not.
Right. The synchronicities come in, and that's why we don't have to get so stuck on the how, because it aligns when you're in the energy of it. And I know it's totally like our mind cannot totally understand how this all works, but it's so true. And your evidence of that, of when you let yourself start feeling those emotions before you have the evidence starts showing up. But we get so lost in, I can't feel that way till I have the money. I can't feel that way till I have the client. But it's actually, we have to reverse engineer the process and learn how to feel that way now. And that's what attracts it all. It's wild. Like you said, the random shit just starts happening.
It feels random. And I think so it's going back to like the future self. We had a number of conversations, didn't we, around, okay, how does your future self manage money? Does she spend things she doesn't have? Is she saving? Like, and I realized as well that I had to start acting like her. So that's what I practice now. I'm like, hang on a minute. What does my 100K self, how does she behave with money? And then that's how I choose to behave.
Yes.
And that's another shift.
And I think I remember this coaching because I think a lot of people have the misconception that when you say, what would my 100K self do? Well, my 100K self is making 8K a month. So they spend on this and that and this. You want to share the reframe through the coaching that we did that you had about what that actually means, instead of like, oh, I'm going to spend. My future self doesn't care about, like, my future self makes so much money, I just spend it, or I just invest it, right? Like, I remember you having that shift, and it was like a big, huge emotional maturity that you stepped into around your business and money.
Yeah.
What's the difference that you see now of what do you mean by I act as my
future self? Now I find myself saying, oh, that's an interesting course. That's going in my budget for next year. Yeah. I would never do. I was like, do I have the money? Yeah, okay, let's go. I'm like, no. That's going to go into 2026 budget. And if I still want to do it in 2026, I'll do it in 2026. So that's been a huge shift. I just decided I wasn't going to, actually, there was a number of decisions I made. I wasn't going to invest in my brain anymore. I got to the point where I was like, no, I know enough. I've had enough coaching. I know I have to actually go out and do it now. So I know exactly what I need to do. I've got the skills. I've got the foundation. Now it's time to go out and do it. So like tomorrow, for example, I'm popping into 2 businesses in Bristol, managed offices. And I'm really looking forward to going to them and saying, hey, do you want a presentation about emotional management? And I'm so excited to go and do that because there's no graspiness. There's no neediness attached to it. Whereas I was always selling and making offers from this real needy, graspy place that felt shit. And so now I'm like, oh, that'd be fun to do. Let's go and do it. And if it doesn't happen, okay, well, that wasn't the universe's plan. And it feels just so much nicer.
Yeah. So you have a trust in the universe now that you didn't have.
Yeah, I can't argue with it anymore. Like, so the reason why we ended up doing this podcast was because February ended up to be, it wasn't 6K, it was actually a 7K profit month. And but it felt like I did nothing towards I did nothing different towards making that happen. So I really feel like now when my brain still wants to go, yeah, but it's not going to happen again. Yeah, but and stepping into that self-doubt, I'm like, yeah, but I didn't do anything for that month. So I don't need to do anything for this month. I just need to surrender, visualize, love, and trust. And already it looks like this month is probably going to be similar. I've got one person signed up already, and I've got 2 people waiting to come back to me. So I've never been in that position. So I'm like, and I don't feel like I've done anything different other than release, trust, and.
Are you still taking action in your business?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still doing my podcast. I'm still posting. I'm still doing networking.
You're just doing it from a different energy.
Such a different energy, and it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, right. When there's not the attachment and the neediness, it's so different that it almost feels like I'm not taking action, because I've heard this from so many people. They're like, I'm not doing anything anymore. I'm like, well, you're doing the same things. You're still taking action. It just feels completely different.
So like the last 3 clients I've signed, 4 clients I've signed, I haven't even really had a consult. We've literally just had a conversation. Like, oh my gosh, it can be so and I never understood when people went, it was so much fun. I made this money and it was so much, and I'm like, how do you make it fun? Because what I'm doing is not fun. I just didn't get it. But because all of this random shit was happening, I'm like, this is so much fun. I'm like, okay, I get it now.
What was your strategy before you realized that you could deeply trust the universe and you decided to stop arguing with it? What did you think it took to make money or to grow your business?
It took hard work, lots of hours. It took me grinding and almost a manipulation around trying to sell. And it just felt rubbish. I mean, we're not that type of people. We don't want to manipulate anybody out of anything. And so, but I really felt it had to be hard. So one of the things I still practice on a nightly basis, just before I go to bed, I'm rubbing my nails because I always put cuticle cream on my nails. And as I'm rubbing it in now, I forgive myself for buying into the misbelief that making money is hard. Whereas actually my soulful truth is it's really easy. It's so easy. And then I forgive myself for believing I wasn't valuable. That's not true. I'm incredibly valuable to the right person or the right team. And then the other one that I've just added recently is I forgive myself for buying into, this is my parents' belief that I shouldn't charge for my services. Right, that's just bollocks. Because when I make money, I can hire my cleaner and I can give to my charities and I can give so much more into the world. And I love being part of that kind of e-commerce. What's the word? Yeah, I just love being part of that. If I earn money, I can spend money, which means someone else earns money so they can spend money. And I love being part of that.
Beautiful. What a shift, Nicky.
I know. Now, that's not to say that I don't then think, oh my God, it's never going to. I mean, you were coaching me on this last week. It's never going to happen again. But now I'm able to sit and really believe, well, we didn't do anything last month different. So I don't need to do anything different this month. I just need to tap in to my energy and connect with source and just do everything from love.
Yeah. How do you manage that part of you that does doubt? Because you do trust the universe and you still have a human primitive brain that shows up, right? And I know mine shows up in different situations. It depends. If I'm more tired, depending on the time of the month, mine gets stronger. How do you manage that part of you that does say things that pops into your mind? Well, what if we never do it again? What if that was a fluke? What if that was a one-time thing? What if it can't be easy again? How do you work with that?
And well, this is what I teach my clients as well, right? So I always get my clients to name that primitive part of their brain. So mine's called Sue. I got that idea from the Mindset book by Dr. Carol Dweck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so I feel like I've really got this, I've learned and practiced having just that internal dialogue. So it kind of literally sounds like now, yeah, Sue, I get it. I hear you. You really think we're not going to make any money. I get it. But you just might not be true. So I was doing this the other day. I'd had someone had said to me, "Oh yeah, I'm really interested in coaching." We'd had the non-consult consult because we don't really do consults now. And she said, "Oh, I'll come back to you." And then a couple of days later, an email popped in, and my brain instantly went to, "Oh, she's not going to sign up. It's going to be too expensive. It's not the right time. Yada yada yada." And I just stopped, and I just internally, I'm like, "What if that wasn't true?" Right. Oh, okay. And then I was got curious, like, why do you think that's going to be the response? And it was like, well, I'm not good enough. All that. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay. Nice to know. And completely the opposite could happen. And so once I kind of balanced myself out and calmed that part of me down, I opened the email and it was, "I've just seen your frequently asked questions. I can't wait to start. It's a big yes. When can I get going?" And I'm like, see?
See?
Yeah, you don't talk the truth. But what I don't do anymore is I don't talk to myself in a judgmental tone. I decided that I just don't talk to myself because I could be my biggest bitch. You're pathetic. You're useless. Why would anyone want to coach with you, Nicky? See, you're not good enough. And it was always in a really derogatory, belittling tone. And I just decided I'm not going to do that anymore. And that takes learning. So my brain wants to go there. I'm like, no, we're learning how not to do that. So I've really cultivated this relationship with my primal brain where it's not, I don't judge it anymore. I don't shame it anymore. And so then that allows me to, so those days which I had about 6 weeks ago, just at the end of January, actually, I had about a week, very significant one day especially where I just felt so much shame, so much fear, so much self-doubt. I just had to spend the day going, I am safe to feel this emotion. I am safe, like nothing's gone wrong. My brain was giving me all the negative stories. I'm like, that might not be true. I hear you, but it might not be true. Yeah, I hear you. We might not have any money, but that might not be true. And I've learned to say that with such compassion and such kindness to myself that then when I am experiencing negative emotions now, I don't make it mean that something's gone wrong. I'm just like, no, I'm safe. I'm safe to experience this emotion. And then sure enough, something happens that wasn't what my brain thought was going to happen anyway. So it's incredible. It's incredible to make that shift with that internal voice because it's gonna go to negative. It's what it's designed to do.
Totally. 100%. And how you relate to that matters.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. 100%. That's huge. So if you could give any advice to listeners who are in a place where they're still thinking, how could you possibly make money with ease? How could it possibly be fun? I have been grinding. I have been doing all the things and it's just not working. And I've been manifesting, but it's not working either. Right? Or maybe they're in it. What advice would you have for them? Right? Because you held that space and you held that belief for a good amount of time. I witnessed it. You held that belief like, I know I'm supposed to do this, even though your brain had doubts and all of that. Any advice you would give to that person who's a little bit closer to where you started your journey?
Yeah. Don't stop because you've got so much light to give the world. The world needs you with your voice, exactly how you say things. The world needs that. And Jamie, I really think that it's those tough times that make us stronger. like we're in England now, all the spring bulbs are coming up, and it just amazes me how there's nothing under the surface, and it's been a harsh winter, frost. I was looking at some bulbs in my mum and dad's garden that looked like a building site, and these beautiful daffodils have come up through it. I'm like, that's what I think it means to be an entrepreneur, going through those tough times. It's not supposed to be easy, because that's what makes you stronger. That's what makes you tougher, so that when you come up into the sunlight, you have a beautiful flower to show the world. It is part of the process, and it feels so shit when you're in it, because it feels like it's never going to end. But as long as your reason why is powerful enough and passionate enough, just don't stop. Just don't stop.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So good. So I want listeners to know where they can find you and follow you. And I just want to put a little plug out there. So I don't always get to see my clients actually coach, right? Because I'm always coaching y'all. So I don't actually get to see most people in their element coaching, but I have had the honor of witnessing Nicky peer coaching at the retreat. And I just have to say, Nicky, you are such a gifted coach. And so if anybody is looking for a ninja coach, a one-on-one coach to really support them, and especially if you resonate with her story, she's someone who I can wholeheartedly say has been through the journey, like the whole manifestation process, the ups and downs, and being able to hold space for belief and self-doubt and all of the things. And so if you feel called to have a one-on-one coach, I would 100% recommend Nicky. And I don't say that often because I don't get to see many people coach, but I have to say you're brilliant. You are brilliant. So insightful, so much wisdom. So where can people find you?
Yes, I'll tell you that in just a second, because what just popped into my mind is one of the beliefs that I've been practicing, as you will probably remember, is that I'm a fucking good coach. And so as I go off to bed at night, as I'm going off to sleep, that's what I'm telling myself. And I really do feel like now that for the right person, if someone does like my energy, I am a really fucking good coach. But it's so, so lovely. Thank you so much. I receive your compliment, because that's huge.
100%. And you're not going to beat around the bush either. Like, you're going to get right to it. If you like someone direct, no bullshit coach, Nicky. She has the most loving energy, and she will wear pink and look like the sweetest thing ever, but she will tell you how it is.
I almost put a blue top on. I'm like, I can't wear blue. I've got to wear pink. I am very pink. So yes, you can find me. I would say the best place probably is my podcast, the Working Mums Podcast with Nicky Bevan. If you prefer watching, that's all on YouTube. But Instagram, LinkedIn, I do love LinkedIn. They would be the best places to come and find me. We can be friends. Okay. I'd love to have a chat.
Absolutely. She's the best. So we'll put all that in the show notes too. So if you want to find Nicky's info, we will have it in the show notes. Hey, thanks for listening. I hope this episode is something that you'll be able to add to your manifestation toolbox to come back to when you need a little extra motivation. If you like what you've heard today and want to take it deeper, you've got to come check out my signature coaching program, the Money Manifestation Movement. It's the place where you'll not only learn manifestation, but you'll begin to live it alongside me and an amazing community of like-minded entrepreneurs doing this work together. Head on over to jamieberman.com to learn more.